I want you to take a second and just picture a place where you feel completely like 100% at ease. Maybe it's, a specific corner table at your local cafe, or a quiet bench in a neighborhood park.
Right. Or honestly, maybe it's just your own living room couch, with a really good blanket.
Yes, exactly. Just like hold that image in your mind for a moment. Got it.
Just conjuring that specific space in your mind can actually measurably lower your heart rate.
Wait, really? Just picturing it?
Yeah. It triggers a parasympathetic nervous system response simply by remembering an environment where your brain just, doesn't have to be on high alert.
Wow. Okay, so keep that physiological response in mind as we jump into today's deep dive.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at the literal anatomy of exactly that kind of space.
It's a really fascinating one today.
It is. So the source material we're unpacking today is, it's fascinating because of what it was originally designed to do.
Yeah.
It's actually an English language learning story.
Yeah.
It's titled The Story of a Chinese Tea House.
I know.
And, on the surface, you have this very gentle, very straightforward narrative about an older man named Grandpa Lee and a young woman named May.
Very simple.
Exactly. But our mission today is to look past that accessible vocabulary and extract this brilliant blueprint for how human connection actually works. We're going to look at how physical spaces can serve as a literal antidote to modern urban isolation.
And the beauty of a story designed for language learners is that it strips away all the, the complex jargon.
For sure.
You're just left with these really raw foundational truths about human nature. And when you analyze the framework of this tea house, it is essentially like a masterclass in sociology.
Yeah.
Because we're living in an era where you can be, surrounded by millions of people in a bustling city and still feel entirely, completely invisible.
Completely. It's the modern condition, right?
Right. And this story, it basically deconstructs how to build a space that cures that specific type of modern invisibility.
So let's start with the architecture of the cure itself. The narrative drops us into a small city in southwest China.
Okay.
And we're introduced to this old tea house, and it's distinguished by its red wooden doors and glass windows.
Right.
And that visual, it immediately establishes this very distinct threshold, right? Between the chaos of the city outside and the sanctuary inside.
Yeah, and those architectural choices are deeply intentional. Like red doors in traditional Chinese culture often signify welcome or happiness and good fortune.
Oh, interesting.
But even from just a sociological perspective, look at the glass windows. They act as this permeable membrane.
What do you mean by permeable?
Well, they suggest transparency. The space is looking out at the community, and it's letting the community look in. So it provides psychological safety before you even cross the threshold, because you can assess the environment, It's the perfect embodiment of what the sociologist Ray Oldenburg called the third place.
Right. The third place being the space that, it isn't your home, which is the first place.
Yeah.
And it isn't your workplace, which is the second place.
Precisely. Third places are neutral grounds. They're these levelers where your corporate title or your family drama, it just doesn't matter.
You're just a patron.
Exactly. You're just a patron. And the architect of this particular third place is the owner, Grandpa Lee.
And the story gives us this really remarkable detail about him right away. It says he's 70 years old, but he looks significantly younger. And he's been making tea for 50 years. His daily routine is relentless, but it sounds incredibly peaceful.
Right, the 5 a.m. wake up.
Yeah. He wakes up at 5 o'clock every single morning to boil water, meticulously choose the tea leaves, and prepare his tools. It really struck me as an artist prepping a canvas, or a musician tuning an instrument before the concert hall even opens.
That's a great analogy, and I think the author is drawing a direct line between his youthful appearance and his lifelong devotion to this craft.
Like it's keeping him young.
Yeah, because he's engaged in a daily ritual, not a frantic hustle. We talk a lot today about burnout, right?
Oh, constantly.
And the chronic stress associated with modern career paths. But Grandpa Lee's 5 a.m. start time, it's not driven by corporate pressure or quarterly earnings. It is meditative.
It's just for the craft.
Exactly. Neurologically speaking, engaging in a highly structured, mastered routine actually lowers cortisol levels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he spent half a century honing this practice that grounds him in the present moment, which is incredibly protective against the biological weathering of stress.
That makes so much sense. And I mean, that physical layout he prepares every morning, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting for the community too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the Teahouse only has 10 tables.
Just 10.
And some are round and some are square, which, in modern commercial terms, limiting a cafe to 10 tables is a terrible business model.
Completely.
It completely defies the logic of mass turnover and maximizing foot traffic.
He's not building a franchise.
Right.
He has engineered this intimately scaled environment that's designed strictly for connection. Like, think about it. A massive food hall with 50 tables creates anonymity.
Yeah, you can easily hide in a crowd that size.
Exactly. But 10 tables?
Yeah.
That forces a level of intimacy. You're going to notice who is sitting next to you. You are going to hear fragments of their conversation.
And the mix of round and square tables subtly reinforces that too, I think.
How so?
Well, a round table naturally accommodates a group of friends chatting, right? While a square table is perfect for, two older gentlemen leaning over a serious game of chess.
Oh, that's true.
The furniture itself is basically signaling to the neighborhood, whoever you are, whatever shape your social life takes today, we have geometry that supports you.
I love that. Geometry that supports you. And it's into this highly curated, intentional sanctuary that our catalyst arrives.
Yes. So it's the first day of spring, and this young woman named May walks through those red doors. She's wearing a blue dress and carrying a small basket. And the description of her paints this really stark picture. It says her face is tired, but her eyes are bright.
Such a vivid contrast.
Yeah. And we learn that she's just come to the city to find work, and she feels completely lost and alone.
Which is so relatable.
Totally. So she sits down, and Grandpa Lee asks what kind of tea she would like. And her response is it's devastatingly simple. She says, "I do not know. Please choose for me."
Please choose for me. I mean, there's an immense amount of vulnerability in that request.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I read that line and immediately thought about decision fatigue.
Oh, for sure.
Think about what she's going through. She is navigating a new city alone. She's exhausted by the burden of finding work, figuring out where to live, making choices just to survive, honestly.
It's exhausting.
The sheer volume of micro decisions she's had to make over the last few days must be crushing. So having someone step in and just handle a choice for her has to be an immense relief.
Decision fatigue or ego depletion is definitely a major factor there. When you are in a survival state in a new environment, every single choice feels high stakes, and it just drains your cognitive reserves.
Yeah.
But I'd argue there's another layer here that goes beyond just, offloading a choice. We have to look at the psychological safety provided by the specific person she's talking to.
Oh, Grandpa Lee.
Right. He embodies what Carl Jung would call the wise old man, or the elder archetype.
So it isn't just that a decision was made, it's who made it.
Exactly. If a harried barista at a busy chain cafe barked, "What do you want?" and she said, "Choose for me," she might just end up with whatever is fastest to pour.
Right, a black coffee and a next in line.
Yeah.
Okay.
But May is surrendering her choice to someone who radiates mastery and calm. Grandpa Lee is providing a safe container. By taking that burden from her in a gentle, authoritative way, he isn't just serving a beverage.
What are they doing?
He's administering an initial dose of care to a nervous system that has been stuck in fight or flight mode.
Wow. And the care he administers is a cup of mountain jasmine tea. He boils the water, pours it carefully, and the text says the room fills with this sweet, calm smell. May takes one sip, and she immediately starts crying, happy tears.
Yeah.
She tells him the smell and the taste instantly remind her of her grandmother, who used to make jasmine tea for her when she was a child.
It's beautiful. And the author uses olfactory memory, the sense of smell, to instantly ground May, which is biologically the most powerful tool available for that job.
Break down the mechanism there for us. Why does the smell of jasmine hit her so much harder and faster than, say, seeing a picture of her grandmother?
Well, it comes down to how our brain is wired. When you see something or hear something, that sensory data goes to the thalamus first.
Okay, the thalamus.
Right. And the thalamus acts like a switchboard, analyzing the information and routing it to the appropriate parts of the brain. So it's an edited, processed experience. But smell is the only sense that bypasses the thalamus entirely.
Wait, it skips the switchboard.
It completely skips the switchboard. The scent molecules of that mountain jasmine hit the olfactory bulb, which has a direct, unedited superhighway to the amygdala, which processes emotion, and the hippocampus, which handles memory and learning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that is why a specific smell can physically stop you in your tracks and time travel you back to a moment in your childhood before your logical brain even realizes what is happening.
That's wild.
And Grandpa Lee intuitively understands this biological reality. He observes her reaction and notes that tea has a special power to bring back beautiful memories.
And that ties right into one of the core vocabulary words of the text, right? Memories, things you remember from the past.
Exactly.
He facilitates this time travel back to a moment when she felt safe and loved. And after she cries, she ends up talking to him for 2 hours about feeling lost in this massive city.
2 whole hours.
Yeah. And he listens patiently, and then he delivers this anchor of a line. He says, "You are not lost, May. You're exactly where you need to be."
Oh, that statement fundamentally alters her reality.
It really does.
Because up until this moment, May's value in the city has likely been defined entirely by her productivity. Like, can she find a job? Can she afford to live? Can she navigate the bus system?
The survival stuff.
Right. But Grandpa Lee validates her presence completely independent of her output. He is offering her unconditional grounding.
He effectively cures her isolation in that single afternoon. And May's response to this profound validation is to look around the room with completely new eyes. She stops seeing a business and starts seeing the ecosystem. She notices the old men playing chess at the square tables, women chatting over the round tables, children laughing in the corners. She realizes it is a home for people who need one.
She transitions from a state of internal panic to external observation. And what happens next is, I think, the most crucial part of the entire narrative regarding how we build community.
Oh, for sure. Because she doesn't just passively consume that feeling and leave.
Exactly.
She starts visiting every single afternoon. But she doesn't just sit there. She starts helping Grandpa Lee serve the tea. She pays attention and learns his half-century-old craft. She learns how to choose the right leaves, how to measure the water temperature, how to pour the perfect cup.
Which is such a shift. We are seeing the shift from passive consumption to active participation.
Right.
Because modern commercial spaces, they're usually purely transactional, right? You give money, you receive a product, you put on your noise-canceling headphones, and you leave.
Yep, get in and get out.
It requires zero emotional investment. But what is happening in Grandpa Lee's tea house is deeply relational. May is investing her labor and her time into the space. She is claiming a stake in it.
And the ecosystem responds in kind. The currency they're exchanging here isn't just money for tea. It's an exchange of social capital and skills.
Yes.
As she serves the regulars, the old men teach her how to play chess. The women teach her how to cook regional Chinese food.
Which brings us to another core vocabulary concept from the source. Belonging, feeling like you are part of a place or a group. This illustrates the truest definition of belonging. Because belonging isn't just being physically present in a room with other people. You can be standing shoulder to shoulder in a crowded subway car and feel utterly, desperately isolated.
Oh, absolutely.
True belonging requires you to feel useful. It requires reciprocity. May's loneliness wasn't cured by just finding a job to sustain herself financially. It was cured by becoming an indispensable part of a micro-society.
She didn't just absorb the atmosphere of the tea house, she co-created it.
Precisely.
And that sets up the narrative crucible of the story. Because one winter evening, Grandpa Lee falls severely ill. He's bedridden and cannot make tea for an entire week.
So the mentor is incapacitated, and the apprentice is suddenly forced to step up to the plate. It is the ultimate test of the community's resilience. Like, does the third place survive without its original architect?
And May is terrified. She asks him, "What will the customers do without your tea?"
Yeah.
And Grandpa Lee just smiles at her from his bed and says she's been learning for a long time, and now it's her turn. So she takes on the mantle. She executes the 5 a.m. routine. She wakes up early in the freezing winter, boils the water, carefully chooses the leaves.
All ritual.
The whole thing. And the regulars come in, taste her tea, smile, and tell her, this is just like Grandpa Lee's.
See, that external validation from the community is the final puzzle piece. It confirms her technical mastery of the tea, yes, but more importantly, it confirms her permanent place within their social structure.
They've accepted her.
Right. They are accepting her as the new custodian of their sanctuary. The narrative notes that she felt warm inside and realized she had truly become a tea maker. She has officially crossed the threshold.
And the way the story handles the aftermath is brilliant, I think. When Grandpa Lee recovers, he doesn't just take his old job back and push May back into the role of a helper.
No, not at all.
From then on, they work side by side as equals. The shop's reputation grows. People start traveling from other cities just to experience their jasmine tea and the atmosphere they've cultivated.
It becomes famous.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting. Eventually, years later, Grandpa Lee decides it's time to retire and travel the world. But before he leaves, he gives May a parting gift.
He gives her the old tea set that belonged to his father.
Yes. And he imparts this final, beautiful piece of philosophy alongside it. He tells her tea is not just a drink. It is a bridge between people. It connects the past and the future.
And we really need to analyze how the author scales up that metaphor of the bridge. It's incredibly elegant.
Let's do it.
Think back to May's first day. That first cup of jasmine tea was a small, deeply personal bridge. It connected May's anxious present back to the safety of her grandmother's past.
Right, it bridged her own internal timeline.
Exactly. But by the end of the story, that bridge has scaled up to a macro level. When Grandpa Lee hands over his father's heirloom tea set, he is using tea as a bridge to connect his family's generational history to May's future. He is trusting her to carry the architecture of this community forward. He isn't just handing over the keys to a building. He is passing on the stewardship of the neighborhood's mental health.
Oh, that's such a good way to put it. And she honors that stewardship flawlessly. The story concludes by telling us, May kept his words in her heart. Every single day, whenever she poured tea for a customer, she thought about that connection. And she ends up running that tea house for another 30 years.
30 years. I mean, 30 years of maintaining that physical and emotional threshold.
Yeah.
30 years of waking up at 5 a.m., boiling the water, and creating a space where lonely people can find a home, old men can find friends, and children can hear stories. It proves that a carefully maintained routine can sustain a community for decades.
It really does. And it perfectly lands the central thesis of the story. Tea is more than a drink in China. It is a way of life.
It acts as a vehicle for social cohesion because, well, it inherently forces you to slow down.
Right, you can't rush it.
No, you have to wait for the water to reach the right temperature. You have to wait for the leaves to steep. You have to sip it slowly because it is physically too hot to chug.
Exactly.
And in that forced, engineered slowness, conversation has room to breathe. Vulnerability has room to surface. That is the environment where genuine belonging takes root.
It's just such an empowering blueprint. The story of Grandpa Lee and May proves that you don't need a massive, expensive citywide intervention to cure urban isolation.
No, you really don't.
What you actually need is patience, a welcoming physical space, even if it is just 10 tables, and a simple shared ritual that people can rely on.
And you need the intentionality behind it.
Yeah.
Grandpa Lee wasn't passively sitting in a room waiting for community to happen.
Yeah.
He was actively cultivating an environment of care through his daily labor. And he taught May how to cultivate it too.
Which brings us back to you listening to this right now. We asked you at the very beginning of this deep dive to think of a place where you feel warm and happy, a place where you find your own sense of belonging. The story of this Chinese tea house challenges all of us to not just consume those spaces passively. We have to participate in them, learn the names of the regulars, offer your own skills, do your part to help build and sustain the ecosystem rather than just, renting a chair for an hour.
And that leaves us with a compelling question to consider as you go about your week. If tea was the physical bridge that allowed Grandpa Lee and May to connect their pasts to their futures and build a thriving, resilient community, what is the everyday, seemingly mundane bridge in your own life that connects you to the people around you?
Such a great question. Is it like the coffee pot in the break room at your office?
Right.
Is it the dog park on Saturday mornings? The neighborhood group chat you check before bed? Whatever that bridge is, maybe tomorrow, try to look at it not just as a routine, but as your own red wooden door. Keep the water boiling, keep the space welcoming, and you might be surprised who finally finds their way home.